Day 5, here we are. This has been such an amazing, chock-full week of great parenting tips for you. This is so much fun. So, day 1, this is our event, Tools for a Smooth Running School Year. Day 1 was how to connect with your teen. Day 2 was checking our stress levels and how they impact other kids' stress levels, right? How they just feed off of that. Day 3 was how to get out of the door, like peacefully without chaos and conflict. Day 4 was how to stop yelling at your child. That was a good one. And today we have Karen Wagnon. She is a certified parent coach, a human behavior consultant, and master trainer. We have great stuff for you today. We're going to analyze how to identify your parenting style, right? And your child and their personality style, not parenting style, personality style. My name is Dale LaCure, and I love doing this. I love helping families create harmony in the home using holistic mental wellness solutions along with parenting strategies is just like golden, right? A perfect marriage. So here we go. So Karen, what do you got for us? I know you have a great slideshow. Thank you so much for being with me. So what you got for us? How do we
Oh my
identify?
gosh, I am so excited to be sharing with the parents that are joining us today, because what I'm going to share with you totally transformed the way I saw my parenting. And I don't know about you, but have you ever looked at your kids and wonder why they don't think and act like you, right? Dale, we looked at them and said, what is going on here? I gave birth to you, I'm raising you in my home, and they're doing these things that I just don't understand. Well, in reality, each of us, including our kids, are wired from birth with our unique personality traits. Now, each of these personality traits are going to have some internal emotional needs. And when those internal emotional needs are not met is usually when we experience the disruptive behaviors. We tend to want to punish or discipline those disruptive behaviors. But if we don't get to the root of that behavior, which is usually an unmet emotional need, that behavior will continue or escalate. So what I want to share with you today is just a quick snapshot of understanding predictable patterns in human behavior. Why our kids do what they do. What is the motive and drive? And what are those needs that need to be met? Because if you don't meet those needs, we will continue to experience the disruptive behaviors. And I can share stories with you of what I had to learn along the way, because my parenting style had needs as well. So I'm expecting my kids to meet my needs, right? When in reality, my goal is to adapt my parenting to meet their needs, so I can raise them to be the best they can be according to their design, which is what the whole foundation of the parenting blueprint is a plan to parent by design. So I'm going to flip over to this and take us to the screen share. And I have a little slide deck that I want to share with you. And then, of course, if you have any questions or interactions, please feel free to post them in the comments, because we'll be able to address them as well. So here, all right, perfect. So how can we go from chaos to competent parenting? By solving the people puzzle and getting the root to your behaviors. So when we look at identifying the different personality traits, there are two observations that I want you to look at. The first one is, what is your pace in life? How your motor runs. Now, some people are outgoing or fast-paced individuals. Everything they do is fast. They walk fast, talk fast, eat fast, work fast. They are always in a hurry. They tend to be more positive and optimistic, always finding that diamond in the lump of coal. They tend to be more energetic and enthusiastic, kind of like cheering other people on. Now, on the other side of that, we have personalities that are more reserved. Now, the reserved personalities just prefer a slower pace. They want to think about what they do before they do it. Think about what they say before they say it. They're a little bit more cautious and reluctant to jump into things right away until they're sure of the expectation or what the outcome is going to be. It's not right or wrong. It's just different. So for our time together, I want you to think about your family and also think about yourself as well. But what is your pace in life? What is your pace in life? Those of you who feel as though, I like to get things done, I like to keep things moving quickly, then you are probably more outgoing. I want you to think about that. Those of you who feel as though, I don't like to be rushed. When I get rushed, I get overwhelmed and it just shuts me down. You are probably more reserved. So when we're looking at putting together a parenting blueprint, we need to identify your style as well as your child's. So if you're taking some notes on this presentation today, you might want to identify what is your pace pace in life, and then look at your kids. Some of your kids are the bouncers, okay? I mean, they have energy, 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 bounce, bounce, bounce. And then we have the kids that are the mosiers, okay? And I had those in my family too, which was very frustrating for me because if you've been online with me and you've worked with me in the past, you know I'm definitely more on the outgoing and fast-paced style. So that was our first observation. How does your motor run? Now we're going to take a look at another observation. In other words, what is your priority in life is our second observation. So how you spend your time pretty much determines what your priority in life is. Now, some people are task-driven individuals. In other words, they go through life like fine-tuned, well-oiled machines, accomplishing tasks, results-driven. This is the list-making crowd. They make lists and check things off the list. If they've done something in the day that maybe wasn't on the list, sometimes we put it on the list just so we can check it off the list and feel as though we've accomplished more in the day. But it's all about plans and process and results, getting things done. Now, on the other side, the flip side of that, we have people that are more people-oriented. It's all about relationships. Now, I've worked with many people who say, that are people-oriented, that say, but Karen, I make lists. And then I usually ask them, yeah, but do you know where it is? Do you know where you've left your list? Because it's not necessarily about the list, because we can be so distracted by the interaction with people. People-oriented types are more open with sharing their feelings and emotions. When they're happy, you know it. When they're sad, you know. When you're frustrated, I mean, you can feel it. And they truly are at their best when they are interacting with other people. It's more about the relationship than the task, okay? So when we're looking at trying to get some results with our kids, how are they wired? So again, for our time together, what is your priority in life? And honestly, you may be a little bit of both depending upon the situation. But those of you who feel as though you have had a good day when everything is checked off the list and you're already checking things off for the next day, you are probably more task driven. So think about that. Those of you who feel as though, you know, I got a list, but I got things to do, and then a friend calls and says, hey, you want to meet for coffee? And you abandon that list and you are out the door. You are probably more people oriented. Now that's just you. Think about your kids. Some of your kids like to get things done. Now, again, they want to get the things done that they want to get done. And some of your kids are much more relational. They don't necessarily want to get the task done unless they are doing a task while they're working with other people, because the relationship is more important than the task. So what we just shared were two observations. This is a very simple snapshot without going into the full personality assessments of how people are wired. So what we're going to do is put that together to share with you the foundation of the parenting blueprint by using the DISC model of human behavior. So you can see at the top and bottom of the model, you see the words outgoing and reserved, which is what we talked about as our pace. And then to the left and right, you see the words task and people, which is what our priority is. And you can see how it's divided into 4 quadrants. And what I'm going to do is give you some simple descriptive words to help identify some of those character traits that you may identify within these personality styles. So the first quadrant I want to take a look at is the outgoing or fast-paced and task-driven personality style, which is the D style. The D style has a dominant style about them. They like to lead. They like to be in charge. Now, these are the bossy kids. These are the kids that are telling everybody in the family what to do. In fact, they're probably telling you what to do, okay? They are dominant. They come in, they take over, they take charge, but they're also direct in their communication style. I hear so many parents talk about the tone and the way my child talks to me. If they are wired this way, that's just how they communicate. They are demanding doers, dominant, direct, demanding doers. Notice that all of these descriptive words begin with the letter D, which is what I love about the model that we work with, because you can identify and connect with that. Dominant, direct, demanding doers. The needs of that dominant style. We talked about the needs when I got started. These are the internal emotional needs of the dominant style. They need challenge, choice, and control. If they are not being challenged, they're going to become a challenge. And they want choice, so they have a level of control. If these needs are not being met, is usually when we will experience what I call the danger zone, which is defiant behavior. This is a very typical trait that we will find when those needs are not being met. So I'm going to stop here for a moment. I am a dominant personality mom. And then I gave birth to a dominant personality son. Okay, we are a different blend, but we have this as our predominant style. So I'm the mom and I am telling him what to do, and I am getting defiance and not realizing what I'm trying to break his will, when I really needed to adapt my parenting to offer him more choices within my boundaries so he felt a level of control. Now, that is easier said than done because I am wired to tell people what to do. That's what I do. So it really became intentional for me to adapt, become aware of Kyle's personality and adapt my interactions and apply the right strategy so I was meeting those needs on a regular basis and not ending up in. So if you are finding you're ending up in a power struggle with a child, you are probably parenting that dominant personality style. Think about, how can I change my interactions so that I can meet those emotional needs so we can reduce that conflict and maintain a positive relationship. A lot of parents that I am working with usually have children that are in this quadrant. They can definitely be a handful. So that's what we're looking at with the dominant style. Just a quick snapshot to see if you can identify. Now let's take a look at our other outgoing personality style that focuses more on the people than the task, is what we call the inspiring style. Now, the inspiring style, they just like to have fun, interaction, they have short attention spans because it's all about being with other people. They just have that natural ability to stimulate creativity and fun and energy wherever they go. The one thing I say about the inspiring style is they don't necessarily need to go to the party because they kind of are the party. When you spend time with them, it's just a good time, but they're very influencing. And if you are parenting this, you know how they influence you? By talking and talking and talking and talking and following you around and talking and talking. They have that natural ability to influence you. They are very interactive. They are not sit-down lecture to kids. They always like to be on the move. Now, remember, they're fast-paced. Their motor runs fast. So they're not sit-down lecture to kids. They will learn more of what they do than what they hear. And I kind of got on a sidebar with that. That has a lot to do with their learning style. And they like to be involved. They like to be involved in everything. My business, your business, everybody's business. If there's something going on, they need to be the center of that attention. The needs of that inspiring style are recognition, approval, and popularity. Put a star next to that. It's recognition, approval, and popularity. And if those internal emotional needs are not being met is when we can experience what I call the disruptive or danger zone behavior, and the child will become illogical. So if you are experiencing illogical behavior, you look at the kid and you're thinking, my gosh, what were you thinking? What are you thinking? They are not thinking. They are impulsive because they are looking to get what? That recognition or attention. So many times I see parents say that my kid does these things to get attention. You are correct. So how can we be meeting those internal emotional needs of recognition, approval, and popularity on a daily basis so they are not responding in an illogical way to get those needs met? Because what? We tend to want to discipline the illogical behavior without getting to the why, getting to the root, and getting to the why. So what I just shared with you is the more outgoing personality traits. And sometimes these personality styles, and this is not an absolute, but a lot of times these children can be labeled ADHD because of the hyper understanding that their motors go fast. Okay. Now, I'm not saying ADHD is real. It is totally real out there, but I think a lot of times it can be misdiagnosed, or I've worked with clients that had their kids assessed that weren't necessarily ADHD, but they just didn't understand their personality style. And once we started changing our interactions and our day-to-day interactions and what we do, we were reducing a lot of that conflict and that out of control behavior and being able to better get along and appreciate our diversity and who we are. So what I just shared with you was on two of the personality styles. Now we're going to take a look at our more reserved personality styles. So is there any questions yet?
Yeah, there's good feedback from Kimberly. She's saying she's all, she can relate to all this. She's loving this. She can definitely relate to this with her clients. And yes, she's saying yes, yes, yes.
And this is just the snapshot. I call this like the thumbnail of all the details. But when people start to see even just a basic overview of personalities, for me, it was the aha Now I get it. We all know something's going on. We all know something, but what is it? And this is the tool that helps us develop a blueprint, right? The parenting blueprint, understanding your child, understanding yourself, and then mapping out the blueprint to be able to interact in a way where everyone's needs are being met and we're not in conflict. So let's take a look at are more reserved personality styles. So the first style I want to talk to you about that is reserved and focuses more on people than task is what we call the S style. But the key word I want you to remember about this S style is they are supportive. I mean, this is the personality that operates behind the scenes, making sure everybody has their needs met. They are steady, they are stable, and at times they're kind of shy. They'll be hanging out on the fringes, watching everything that's going on. They are observing, but they don't necessarily step in and engage right away until they feel safe and secure in that environment. The supportive personality. These are the chill kids. They're just kind of hanging out. They're never in a hurry to do anything. My daughter is wired this way. This is her highest trait. My daughter, Anna, I'll tell you, if you were to look up all the traits of the personality and the supportive style, I probably should post her picture next to it. Now, Anna had one speed in life. She's 26. She's the one that just got married a couple weeks ago. She has one speed in life, and it's like second gear, all day long, second gear. Now, I talked to you earlier about me being more outgoing, and I'm running in like fourth and fifth gear most of the time, all day long, right? And so I give birth to this child who was just pokey. And then I was like, what the heck is going on? And if I tried to get her to, let's say, third gear, what I got was shut down in tears. So those of you who may be experiencing some of that behavior, remember that we may need to adapt our pace to their pace so that we're not stressing them out, because that's what I was doing. I was totally stressing this girl out. But the supportive personality is steady and stable and at times kind of shy. But their internal emotional needs are appreciation, security, and affirmation. Words of appreciation, feeling secure, and affirmation, needing to hear those words of affirmation. And if those needs are not being met, it's usually when they can become a sucker. When I say that, I mean they get sucked into doing things that they probably shouldn't do because they're trying to have those needs met. Now, again, I'm going to, as we looked at the model earlier, I went a little too fast here. As we looked at the model earlier, that dominant and supportive are polar opposites. So here I'm a dominant mom and I'm parenting a supportive child. We were polar opposites. And so I had to adapt my interactions in doing more affirmation and appreciation, where my personality is, why do I need to stroke you to do the things you need to do? Like, just do what you need to do. And because I am so direct and results driven, but when I started adapting and appreciating and using my words to tell her what I appreciated about her, not just her task, but for who she was, things really changed in our relationship. And when these kids feel valued and understood in your presence, you are now creating a bond and a relationship of trust that when you get into those teen years, they're still talking to you and not feeling as though I need to hide from my mom or not tell my mom and dad certain things. And so it really does make a difference. But again, it was me adapting. It was not easy for me, because I'm like the Nike Swish woman. Check it off the list. We got things to do and places to go. But I had to adapt my pace. I needed to use more words of appreciation so that I could have the relationship that I have with her today. Just a little tip on adapting parenting. So let's round this out with our last personality style of the model, which is more reserved but focusing more on task, is what we call the cautious style. Now, the cautious style is stop, look, and listen. I mean, these kids don't jump into things right away. They overanalyze. They're in their head. They question just about everything. They are cautious. They are calculating, conscientious. They know the rules and they follow the rules, and they are careful. Sometimes there's a level of fear and uncertainty with the things they do, which can cause what I call the paralysis of analysis. This is the analytical or logical personality style. Now, the needs of this style are quality answers, value, and excellence. Now, I say quality answers because if it's not a good answer, they're going to ask you another question. And I've dealt with that with my kids, and I'm like, did we already go over this? But obviously, my answer was not good enough to their satisfaction. And if I am not giving them quality answers, if they are not feeling valued or have value and excellence, they're perfectionists. we will experience their danger zone, which is becoming cold and withdrawn. Now, those of you who experience our kids being cold and withdrawn, and sometimes it can lead to depression because they're in their heads and they overanalyze, think back on how can I meet their needs? Quality answers, value, and excellence, so that they feel understood. Those needs are being met and they feel understood. So what we just did is I gave you just a quick snapshot of understanding the roots of some of our kids' behaviors when we are experiencing them in the day-to-day stuff. And the whole focus, as Dale was bringing this together, was when we're trying to get back to school and everybody has things to do. And, you know, if mom and dad have to get to work and the kids got to get out, and I'm experiencing the destructive behaviors, we tend to want to discipline that behavior when we really need to stop and look and say, what are the needs that I can meet so that I'm not experiencing those behaviors? Great. So this is where we are. This is the foundation of the parenting blueprint, which is the model I work with through parent coaching. And as we went through looking at these 4 different personality styles, you may be thinking, you know, I've got a little bit of that, but you know, I'm also a little bit of this, which is absolutely true. No one is just one personality style. And I would not be doing any justice if you walked away feeling as though you were one style. We are all a blend of all 4 to a greater or lesser degree. But usually we can identify what may be 2 predominant styles, 2 lesser predominant styles in our makeup. And we go through all of that with our complete assessments when it comes to doing the parenting blueprint and putting together our roadmap. So where do we go from here? When we are looking at coaching with this model, I want you to understand yourself and your blend, because as a parent and your personality, that's where your parenting style comes from. How you're wired and how you were parenting in the past, is really what determines your parenting style going forward. So understand yourself and why you have expectations, because you know what? I wanted to control. As a mom, I wanted control, where other moms, if they're more of the supportive style, they want more of the appreciation and security. If you are a cautious mom, you want quality answers and excellence and perfection from your kids. So understand what your expectations are as a parent, and then understand your child. You may be parenting a child that's wired like you, or you may be parenting a child like I was, that's a polar opposite to you. And then what we do is we look at ways that we can adapt our interactions so that we can meet that child's emotional needs on a regular basis. Now, look, it's easier said than done. You know, in the beginning, I kind of felt awkward or a little fake, you know, and having to adapt my style. But the more I did and the more I saw the positive results, now it's just how I do things. It was really the transformation and the change, because our goal was to reduce that conflict and improve that productivity and develop better relationships. Because you know what? Our kids just want to feel valued and understood. I mean, heck, we all just want to feel valued and understood. Even from the parent side, we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is what we do with the parenting blueprint. There's 3 pillars that we work with. Okay, 3 pillars. The first is becoming aware of the personality traits. Some of that I just shared with you. We go into a lot more depth. And then we just need to learn to adapt those interactions to meet those needs and apply the right strategies. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach to parenting. If you got more than one child, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And so these are some of the things that we want to talk about. If you are dealing with conflict in your child, or wondering why, or I have parents who feel as though, you know, I'm failing and I can't get it right and it doesn't matter what I say, and you're just not feeling confident as a parent, with a little bit of information and putting together a blueprint and a roadmap, you will have that aha moment and feel so much more confident when you come to working with your child. And so Dale, that's just what I wanted to share when it came to identifying, you know, the different personality styles and how we can just have a better understanding of ourselves, better understanding of our kids, and being able to apply the right strategies, interaction and communication, so that our kids feel valued and understood for who they are.
I love it. It's so good. And I recently took, and my oldest son took the test, and Karen and I are going to come together and identify the personality styles and identify better ways to communicate, to be more effective in our communication, to meet the needs, right? That's it. Like, everybody wants to be understood. Everybody wants to be, you know, felt like they're heard, like just validated, you know, and to have this information. And like you were saying, you're not just one thing. You could be a couple of different things, and but the information is so important, and it'll really be, like you say, a roadmap to
It
success
is a roadmap,
and confidence.
because our kids, if we are treating our kids and trying to make them into something they're not, or making them feel bad for who they are, we are crushing their self-esteem. My kids were very different, as yours were as well. And I know we talked about this. Kyle had a personality that was similar to mine. My blend is more dominant, inspiring. He was dominant, cautious. So not only did he want control, he was critical as all get out. I mean, it had to be a certain way, his way. I'm telling you, getting through the teen years were very difficult until I knew how to adapt and understand and respect where he was coming from. In other words, I was able to see life through his lens, not just mine. When I saw life through his lens, it was like, all right, I get it. I get where he's coming from. So how can I meet him where he is? And again, then coach and guide him to be successful according to his design. Where my daughter Anna was much more reserved and unsure and indecisive. And I always needed to encourage and lift and inspire her. And she's done amazing things. But if not, the self-doubt was crushing her. And again, it's not right or wrong. It's just different. But when you see behaviors in your kids and you're just like, what is going on here? There's something going on. It's not just the behavior that we see on the surface. It's kind of like the ice cube. I don't want to say the ice cube, I'm talking about, where you just have the peak of it and everything else is beneath. It's what's going on beneath the surface.
Right.
That we really need to get to, so our kids feel understood. When we start meeting those needs, and I see this so many times with parents, as they start applying new strategies, it's like, wow, little things.
Yeah.
Because we can only do what we know. But once we know to do different, and we start getting a different result. And that's part of the whole transformation. It's a beautiful process. I love seeing the relationships come together. I love seeing parents be able to value and appreciate their kids for who they are and not criticize them for who they're not.
And not live in conflict.
Yes. Oh God, that too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and accept the kids for who they are, find out what their strengths are and build them up.
Yes.
It's a beautiful thing. I mean, it's just amazing work what you're doing. I'm excited to.
It's a different approach. It's just a different approach. I mean, there's a lot of parenting out there. I don't want to poo-poo anybody's stuff, but it's like, how do you know what strategy to do if you don't know what motivates your kid? Once you know what motivates your kid, now we can put the plan together.
And again, going back to knowing yourself too.
Knowing yourself. Oh yeah. That was my biggest thing. Like, I'm the mom. What is the problem here? And he's thinking, I'm the kid. What's your problem? Right. So, and I was like, something's not working out here. This is not what I thought parenting was going to be about. You know what I mean? And we're a blended family with 7 kids. So there were so many different
personalities.
Once we were able to assess their personalities and have the aha moment, now I get them. Now I know how I can adapt. So I can be the best mom I can be for them according to their design.
I love it. I love it. Just simple tweaks, right?
Yes.
Simple tweaks. I love it. So good. Thank you so much for joining me today with this gold. It's such valuable information to have to really set you on a path of parenting with calm and harmony. Yes. It doesn't have to be as hard.
It doesn't. You're right. Absolutely right.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I hope you're enjoying this whole week of just great information. So thank you again. This was amazing.
Thanks, Dale.
Love you. Thanks for joining me.
I appreciate all you do. All right. Thank you.